Ukraine sent special forces to Syria to attack Russians there, revealing a new front to the war. Report.
Here's a summary of the article.
Ukrainian special forces are fighting side by side with Syrian rebels against Russian mercenaries and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime in the Middle Eastern country, the outlet reported. According to the outlet, the video, dated March 2024, shows Ukrainian special forces targeting Russian checkpoints, strongholds, foot patrols, and convoys of military equipment in southwest Syria. An unnamed Ukrainian intelligence source told the outlet that the troops had backed Syrian rebels in carrying out multiple strikes on Russian military facilities since the start of the year. According to Alexander Libman, a professor of Russian and East European politics at the Free University of Berlin, their presence in Syria would be deeply surprising as Ukraine faces major manpower issues on the battlefield back home. Sending any troops away from the country would be indeed rather strange, he told BI. Even so, this is not the first time Ukrainian special forces have been seen fighting outside Ukraine. Ukrainian special forces were reportedly seen interrogating captured Wagner mercenaries in Sudan in an undated video shared by the Kyiv Post in February. Sergei Sukhenkin, a senior fellow at the Jamestown Foundation, told BI at the time that the operation may have been part of some sort of tacit agreement between Western allies and Ukraine to battle Russian mercenaries in Africa, in exchange for certain military backing for Ukraine in its war against Russia.
This post received a score of 18,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Geez. How many foreign militaries are operating in Syria at the moment?
All of them.
It's kinda like Mercenaries 2. World in Flames IN.
I spent countless hours playing that game as a kid. If they ever made a third, I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Mercenaries now rebooted as an ARG, presenting #Mercenaries, Syrian Civil War. Sign up now.
I signed up for the beta in 2016 and all I ever received was a rusty M16 and a lame black tapestry with scribbles on it. I'm never gonna get my money back.
See, you needed to stick it out until the Afghanistan pull-out DLC. Then you could have got the US military leftovers weapons pack that included unlimited small arms, vehicles, helicopters, and the ability to shitpost on Twitter about it.
All those years of flight simulators paid off in dividends for a chance to fly an Iroquois for a brief but doomed voyage.
Remember when US Special Forces attacked and killed Wagner Group and Russian soldiers in Africa? Yeah, they're still there doing it. So Syria is closer and Russia can move troops and equipment back to Ukraine quicker, so it's obvious UA will destroy it there before it's sent back to attack Ukraine.
They're still in at least one African country, and in Syria. It's a training opportunity for them. They operate alongside and with American operatives and intelligence in a theater where that doesn't bring as much risk, as you can't have U.S. air support or U.S. operatives operating openly in Ukraine.
And in general it is also theaters much more conducive to their line of work and talents than a stagnant artillery-ridden WW1-style frontline. More bang for the buck.
If Russia needs to reinforce its presence in Syria, it uses up valuable resources.
Assuming Ukraine doesn't have manpower shortage itself.
One could counter-argue and say that a handful of special forces are more valuable at exactly these types of disruption attacks than in standard trench warfare, since it is exactly what they are trained for. And it will disrupt and strain Russian forces internationally as well, which is good.
More bang for buck.
The technical term is force multiplication. The right guy, at the right place, at the right time, with the proper tools, can do more damage than a force many times larger for a fraction of the cost. Edit. Scrolled down after I submitted and saw someone already explained this lol.
Not a bad idea to wear out the Russians and prevent them from being redeployed to Ukraine. Also possible deal involving anti-Assad elements to back Ukraine in return.
It's also a much better use of special forces than throwing them in a trench on the front where they're not much more useful than any other grunt, and can catch an artillery shell or FPV drone just as easily as anyone else with a gun. Special forces are able to undertake irregular operations that regular forces can't. They're not superheroes who are immune to harm or actually much more useful than traditional forces in traditional situations, sometimes less useful. Sending them off to theaters where they can harass the enemy in the way that maximizes their unique training is a smart move.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.